As I explained in my previous article, the purpose of economics is to find ways to distribute resources in society efficiently. For the economy to function, it requires everyone in society to trust one another. I've written an additional piece explaining this concept of trust, which is somewhat different from the everyday notion of trust we commonly use. Before diving into the main topic, let's explore a bit more about the nature of economics. Can we call economics a science? It can be both yes and no. First, let's understand what defines a scientific discipline. A scientific field specializes in researching and explaining natural phenomena. For example, why is fire hot? Why does water freeze? The scientific research process involves collecting data, analyzing the data, developing a model that explains how things work based on the data, testing that model. If the model aligns with reality, it is considered correct. If not, it is revised. Similarly, economists collect data, develop theoretical models to study, and test these models. However, a disappointing aspect is that their models rarely have predictive power. In physics, you can predict outcomes based on different data inputs, such as the speed of a falling object, the impact force of a bullet, or the boiling time of water. But economics is slightly different. The same model, when fed real-world data, often produces results that contradict predictions. This is because humans are complex beings, unpredictable, always conflicting, and constantly changing. Unlike a bullet or an apple in Newton's laws, humans cannot be described with just a few graph curves. Therefore, although economics is conducted like a scientific discipline, it does not possess the same predictive qualities as natural sciences. It is quite hybrid, earning it the nickname the unreliable science because it often inaccurately predicts events. Quite unfortunate, isn't it? However, the human nature inherently desires prediction, which is essential for business and helps people understand their direction. Despite the unpredictable nature of economics, humans still enjoy making predictions, leading to dozens of different theories attempting to describe the same phenomena. Explaining capitalism and communism, at the core of economics is the study of resource distribution in society. So, what constitutes a reasonable distribution? In the past century, there have been two major theories addressing this issue: capitalism and communism. Many of you have likely been taught about communist theory in political science classes at university. However, in this article, I approached the topic slightly differently than what's typically taught. First, economics, like any scientific field, is predictive rather than declarative. When economists like Adam Smith, Milton Friedman, or Friedrich Hayek write their books, they present their theories and explain why they believe they are correct. They do not assert their theories as absolute truths and are open to criticism. Even in natural sciences, such as Einstein's theory of relativity, he stated that if someone found evidence disproving his theory, he would immediately accept it. This openness means that sometimes you might read an article claiming scientists have proven an object can travel faster than light. This is why you can find numerous books criticizing Milton Friedman or free market theories. Therefore, I disagree with the university approach that presents these theories as truths or certainties. Secondly, we must understand that scientific research does not involve subjective feelings. In our society, we are sensitive to this. Merely hearing the US or the West often conjures negative connotations. If they criticize our theories, we might dismiss it as defamation or propaganda. Perhaps this is why scientific spirit in our society remains weak, as people believe that information from over there is mere propaganda or skewed by political ideologies. We should recognize that the scientific community, true to its name, works very diligently. For instance, when you read a scientific article stating why the ABC economic model failed, it's not because the authors hate the model or are being paid by any organization to write the article. Instead, it's because they have studied the model for decades, collected thousands of data points, and conducted thorough research. When they publish their findings, dozens of other scientists scrutinize every aspect of that report to dismantle it. If it withstands these challenges, it gets published. Of course, when such an article appears on Facebook through a news page, a massive army might flood the comments claiming it's fake news, followed by trolls and memes. We shouldn't respond that way. Instead, we should respect the scientists' efforts and intellectual work, refraining from immediately criticizing anything that contradicts our own thoughts. Example from Dr. Wilfredo Thomas, Lamar University. For example, in one section, I wrote that afternoon workouts are best for muscle growth because hormone levels and body temperature are optimal during the afternoon. How do I know this? I conducted a 20-page research study on the topic, and the paper was reviewed and approved by 30 peer-reviewed studies. Then someone jumped in and accused me of lying, claiming that men's hormone levels peak in the morning because young men are stiff in the mornings. Sticking to 19th century capitalist and communist theories for clarity. Additionally, to make things easier to understand, I will stick to the 19th century theories of capitalism and communism, as modern versions are too complex. Returning to the main topic, how resource distribution differs between market economics and communism. So how does resource distribution in a market economy differ from that in communism? Imagine you're thirsty and walk into a grocery store to buy a can of Coca-Cola for $1. Why does that can cost $1? Capitalist explanation. Supply and demand in a free market. Capitalism explains the $1 price based on market supply and demand. When Coca-Cola starts producing soda in the US, they first study the demand for soda among American consumers, say 100,000 cans a day. After researching the market and determining they need to supply 100,000 cans daily, they calculate the production costs for 100,000 cans, including transportation costs, labor fees, and what price consumers are willing to pay. After evaluating these factors, they decide that each can should cost $1. At this price, 100,000 cans will be sold. If they raise the price to $1.10, perhaps only 80,000 cans will be sold, leaving 20,000 cans unsold, which is wasteful. Conversely, if they lower the price to 90 cents, their profits per can decrease. Therefore, companies always aim to maximize profits by finding the optimal price point. Marxist explanation, labor value and surplus value. Marxist communism, however, views the $1 price differently. According to Marx, the $1 reflects the labor value of the capitalist Coca-Cola's owner and the workers combined. He formulated the equation money, goods, money. First, the capitalist uses money to buy the labor power of workers to create goods. Then, they sell the goods to retrieve the money. The outgoing money is greater than the incoming money because the goods sold have increased in value compared to the raw materials used to produce them. This process creates surplus value. According to Karl Marx, surplus value is the difference between the value paid to workers for their labor and the value of the goods produced by those workers. Using the Coca-Cola can example, the labor value might be 70 cents, but the worker only receives 30 cents, meaning the capitalist takes 40 cents as surplus value. Marx argues that capitalism is inherently exploitative, as capitalists always exploit workers to accumulate wealth. If workers were paid more, they would no longer be dependent on capitalists. Economic models, capitalist versus communist. These differing perspectives lead to two distinct economic models. Capitalist economic model, free market policies. Capitalists support free market policies because they believe that when resources are freely distributed according to supply and demand, everyone can obtain what they want within their purchasing power. Capitalists advocate for free markets. Everyone can sell what they want and buy what they need. Free trade between countries, like within ASEAN, and free movement, such as within the European Union. When they talk about freedom, they refer to these concepts. To ensure this freedom, capitalist countries allow individuals to own private property, such as personal land and wealth. By permitting private ownership, individuals in capitalism can accumulate wealth. Communist economic model, class struggle, and central planning. Marxist supporters, however, have a different perspective. They view economic issues not through the lens of resource distribution, but as class struggle conflict between different social classes, namely workers and capitalists. Capitalists own the means of production, but do nothing else, profiting by exploiting workers. They believe that eliminating capitalist corporations and ensuring equal distribution of goods will eliminate class struggle, leading to a peaceful society. To achieve this, they argue that free markets must be abolished, and the state must control all aspects of the economy, essentially a centrally planned economy. For example, the state would mandate Coca-Cola to produce a specific number of cans each day, calculate the necessary aluminum for those cans, and order aluminum factories to produce the required amount. Similarly, the state would determine how much paint is needed for the can shells and direct paint factories to supply that amount to Coca-Cola. Thus, all these decisions that were once made by Coca-Cola are now dictated by the state. After producing the specified number of cans, the state distributes them to everyone through a voucher system, ensuring everyone gets the same amount of Coca-Cola, with no one receiving more or less than others. This creates an equitable society. Moreover, communist regimes eliminate private ownership because allowing individuals to own property would enable them to accumulate wealth, leading to social inequality. In the United States today, while private property is allowed, certain assets are regulated to prevent extreme inequalities. Challenges of centralized planning in communism. One critical issue for centrally planned economies is determining societal needs. This is challenging because 1. Changing needs, societal needs constantly evolve. For example, if a product becomes unpopular, such as a particular brand of soda, consumers might boycott it. How does the state respond to such rapid changes? It's difficult because production plans are set in advance and cannot be quickly adjusted. Additionally, since all decisions are centralized, changes take a long time to implement. 2. Scale of calculation. Societal needs are vast and beyond the government's ability to accurately calculate. To determine demand, the state would need to account for every individual package produced, every unit of raw material, and every component necessary for manufacturing. In the 1960s, the Soviet Union attempted to solve this by employing top mathematicians to develop supercomputers for calculating societal needs, but ultimately failed. 3. Desire for inequality. Not everyone desires equality. In society, there are always individuals who strive to surpass others, earning more money than their peers. These individuals might break the law to accumulate wealth and could be prosecuted as counter-revolutionaries and punished according to their country's laws. 4. Price determination. The most severe issue with communist economic models is price determination. Marxist theory posits that the value of a commodity reflects the labor effort exerted by workers, not market supply and demand. However, ignoring market demand makes it nearly impossible to accurately determine prices. Incorrect pricing disrupts economic development. For example, if an iPhone costs $100 and rice costs $500 per kilogram, why is that? Consider the following example. A $2,000 armored vehicle demolished and sold for scrap. Mr. John Smith invested $2,000 and many years developing an armored vehicle, hoping it would be used by the US military. According to Marx's formula, the vehicle should be valued at more than $2,000, accounting for the labor value Mr. Smith and the workers invested. However, the vehicle's actual value is $0 because there is no demand for it. The military doesn't need that vehicle, and no civilians are interested in buying it. Thus, regardless of how much money or effort went into producing it, its value remains $0. In centralized economies like the Soviet Union before 1991 or Communist Vietnam before 1986, societies consistently struggled with buying and selling because commodity prices were random and did not reflect societal needs accurately. The free market in capitalism. In theory, a perfect free market is ideal, but in reality, creating a perfect free market is nearly impossible. The market is imperfect due to asymmetric information, a situation where buyers and sellers do not have equal knowledge. For a perfect free market, buyers and sellers must fully understand each other, which is not feasible in real life. For instance, when choosing a university, you cannot be 100% certain from the outset if a particular school suits you. Similarly, many people migrate for work abroad, only to discover upon arrival that they have been sold into forced labor. Therefore, free markets always require government intervention to prevent social ills arising from information disparities. Currently, all nations, including the US, the UK, France, Singapore, Australia, and others, maintain market economies with varying degrees of government intervention. The difference lies in the level and manner of government intervention. In the US and the UK, it is minimal, whereas in countries like Canada, intervention is more pronounced. For example, the US government allows gasoline prices to fluctuate based on the market, while other countries might regulate fuel prices to stabilize the economy. Income inequality in free markets. Another serious issue in free market economies is income inequality. To understand this, imagine you are born into a wealthy family and have investment savvy. One day, through a connection, you learn that the government is about to build a subway line in your impoverished neighborhood. You decide to invest in real estate in your area, buying 10 plots of land at $100,000 each, totaling $1 million. Since the neighborhood is poor with many vacant lots, land prices are very low. After purchasing, you wait. After 1 year, the land price increases to $150,000 per plot, and someone offers to buy, but you refuse. In year 2, prices rise to $250,000 per plot, and you still don't sell. By the 3rd and 4th years, prices keep climbing. In year 5, land prices reach $500,000 per plot, and you decide to sell, earning $5 million of five-fold profit from your initial investment. You've legally made money without deceiving anyone. However, your method of making money poses problems for the economy. 1. Resource wastage. By holding on to the land and refusing to sell, you've wasted that land's potential for 5 years. People who needed housing couldn't move in, and businesses like stores, theaters, or grocery shops couldn't establish themselves there. Instead of contributing to the economy and providing housing for many, the 10 plots lay unused, overgrown with weeds for 5 years. 2. Speculation. Your holding of the land, known as speculation, has created land scarcity, driving up land prices, a phenomenon often referred to as the real estate bubble. As land prices rise, so do housing prices, making homeownership unaffordable for low-income individuals. The wealthy, like you, become richer, while the poor struggle to escape poverty. However, this isn't your fault. Post-1991, shift to mixed economies. After 1991, the centralized Soviet model vanished from the world. Countries that previously followed centralized economic models, like China and Russia, have transitioned to mixed economies, still market-based, but with the government controlling key industries. For example, state-owned enterprises like large shipbuilding corporations, national electric companies, and major oil and gas firms. Even in mixed economies, the primary model remains the market economy. The complexity of modern market economies. Today's market economies have become more complex as people, aided by advanced technology, can engage in various business forms. New business models like Airbnb, Uber, Grab, or Amazon have emerged in the past decade. These new models bring many benefits, but also pose more complex challenges for governments, such as income inequality, information theft, and unemployment due to automation. While these issues differ, they all revolve around the fundamental nature of resource distribution in society.